Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome. It felt like the day went by in a heartbeat. Shirley, good evening. How you doing? How is everybody doing? Show the hearts. Tell me you survived the change from daylight saving to standard. Show them hearts. How are y'all doing? Those of you that are new to the Druid Circle, welcome. Tonight is called Serene Sunday, and the purpose and objective of Serene Sunday is to help you guys get through the beginning of your week. Most of you, if not all of you, may or may not start your week on a Sunday, and because of that, you might start your week on a Wednesday or whatever. So Serene Sunday you would play before you start your week. For those of you that are on a 6-day week or whatever the case is, that's fine. You just play it when you feel it's the start of the new week. Even if you don't, even if you have like an erratic schedule or something like that. All right. So the purpose of Serene Sunday is to not only to get you motivated for the week, but and not really be motivational. I'm not too big into motivational speakers. I feel that, you go in and then you leave and you feel like, the purpose of this is to teach you and give you the tools you need to have a very satisfying week, to have a week filled with real girth, if you will, with real girth of strength and courage and vision and wisdom and that depth of that. And I think that is really the purpose. And so we might not necessarily cover Druidic thought, which is on Thursdays, but I would cover it in a way that I think that the Druids would have sort of celebrated the topic that I'm talking about. And also in line with the Druids, on the same frequency, on the same vibration of that. And I think that is really what we're all here about tonight. So welcome, enjoy the show, and I hope you have your notes out and take some great notes that really could help you with tonight's topic. My name is Druid Neoclaus de Clan. I am the founder of the Druid Circle, Druid Order of Blessed Stone and Wood, Druid University, and Druid Living, which is a conservative pagan media outlet to have a voice for the silent majority. Alright, so let's begin. I hope you guys like this, and I put some heavy work into it. So the hardest thing was that somebody came to me and said, I'll ask you a question and I'll be like, hey, look, listen, what do you think I should talk about? And if you see me do that, engage with me. Let me know. Give me your thoughts. Don't necessarily be afraid to say something. Yeah, you might get banned. Oh, well. Go create a new profile. Come on back and learn your lesson. The point is that when I was asked this question to do this topic tonight, I was like, there's no way. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But I was just being polite. I wasn't necessarily actually thinking that I could pull this off. I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I thought about it. And I'm like, there is no way that I can even give this talk tonight. There's no way that I'm even the person to do this tonight. Because I am probably the least out of everyone to do this topic tonight. Because I don't think that I have what it takes to do this topic tonight. I don't think that I have what I don't think that I have it, And deep down inside, it sort of hurt because it really helped me come back to a sense of who I was as a person. Who I was not only in my vocation as Druid, but who I was just as a person. And when I thought about it, I was like, whoa. And it hit. And I was like, wow. So here is the topic. The topic is do something. The question was do something on being kind. So a lot of you say, well, wait a second. Aren't you like a druid? Aren't you supposed to be kind to everybody? I'm first human. I have never said to any one of you on here that I was anything more than that. I never told you that I was a Merlin. I never told you I was a wizard, a guru of gurus. I never told you that I was some, witcher of witches, whatever. I'm not even some like arch druid or some Merlin or anything like that. I'm just a regular dude. And I don't even know why you guys listen to me. Why are you even listening? And I guess maybe what I have to say, some of the stuff that comes out is good to go, Because I know for one thing that tonight's talk is going to bring you into a very, very deep belief in who you are as a person, because it is what I learned. And not only what I learned, but what I took in and delved into, that I'm going to give you that same effect. And if I could pull that off, then maybe I was kind. So let's begin. Okay. Alright, so I want to start with something that I thought was really cool, right? And it was a scene from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is probably one of my favorite shows for Thanksgiving. Celebrating the harvest, even though it's really after the harvest, but it's a whole other world. And so I'm thinking about this. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, let me pull this scene. So I went on and I went to the script for this particular scene. I want to read it to you because this couldn't be more of an appropriate beginning to this talk. Just so you're aware, if you're watching this on a watch party, I ask that you, keep your comments to the main video. If you're watching this obviously on live, you can leave them. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're not watching this on YouTube and want to catch it later on the tube, please go to our channel, Druid Circle, on YouTube, and you'll just find it there. All right, so let's begin. So there's, Del Griffith, and Del is in this movie, and he plays a role where he is really the human one, the compassionate one, out of these two people that meet. And so when you hear his name, you'll know. I'm not going to give you much more than that because I really would hope that you watch the show. But they get into an argument, him and this person that they collide, their worlds collide, right? And they get into this argument. Apparently, both are very frustrated because they can't get home for Thanksgiving. And what ends up happening is that they start eating at each other, and close to close to the beginning of the movie, they really go head and head. And here is that conversation. Okay, here's that conversation. I need you to listen to this really well because, and you can follow along if you're on a computer or whatever the case is, and just hearing my voice. It goes like this. So Neil Page is the other character, and Neil Page is a very well-to-do, successful marketer in New York City. Del Griffith is also a very productive salesman, but he is obviously part of the blue collar, if you will, class. And Neil is of the white collar class, right? I want you to listen to this. So they end up in a end up in a room together, okay? And the room only has one bed, and they look at each other and like, oh my god, I can't deal with this. Like, two big guys sleeping in this one average sized bed, not a queen. I guess they call that a matrimonial or a full. I think that's what it is. And so, anyway, they have to share this bed together. And so, Del Griffith begins all these sounds, like these clearing throat sounds and stuff like that, and Neil can't get any sleep. And so Neil wakes up and says, that's it, basically, I can't do it, I've had it, and that's it. So they talk about the idea of kindness. And when they talk about this, you'll hear it in this script. Here it goes. So Neil begins his attack on Del Griffith, and Neil says to Del, he says this: I hope you wake up so stiff you can't even move. You got a free cab, you got a free room, and someone who will just listen to your boring stories. Didn't you notice on the plane when you started talking, I started reading the vomit bag? Didn't that give you some clue that this guy's not enjoying it? Everything's not an antidote. You have to discriminate. You choose things that are funny or mildly amusing or interesting. You're a miracle. Your stories have none of that. They're not even amusing accidentally. Honey. And he goes on and creates a scenario where he's introducing Del to his wife. Honey, meet Del Griffith. He's got some amusing antidotes. Here's a gun so you can blow your brains out. You'll thank me for it. I could tolerate any insurance seminar, he says to Del. For days. I could listen to them go on and on. They'd say, how can you stand it? And I'd say, 'cause I've been with Del Griffith. I can take anything. You know what they'd say? I know what you mean. The shower curtain ring guy. It's like going on a date with a chatty Cathy doll. There should be a string on your chest that I pull out, except I wouldn't pull it out. You would. Yeah. And he does that. By the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it more interesting for the listener. Now, I don't know what you heard in that, but that has to be the meanest way to put someone down intentionally. And when you hear that, there is no kindness, right? There's not even being nice. It's just pure and utter sour, right? And so Del returns fire to Neil Page, and he says this: you want to hurt me? Go ahead. If it makes you feel better. I need you to hear this, guys. I'm an easy target. Yeah, you're right. I talk too much. But I also listen too much. I could be a cold, hard-hearted cynic like you, but I don't like to hurt people's feelings. Well, you think what you want about me. I'm not changing. I like me. And that I like me, he gets choked up. Okay? So it's like I like, and he's getting choked up. You hear it? It's like, I like me. My wife likes me. My customers like me. 'Cause I'm the real article. What you see is what you get. Now, if that exchange didn't bring a tear to your eye, I mean, I don't know what will. But that is the epitome of two arguments, right? And more importantly, they're both opposite arguments, because one is coming from intention. That is Neil's argument to Dell. A bad intention, a very, very bad intention, an intention to hurt. Whereas an opposite argument is being made, but it's not being made out of intention. It's being made out of politeness. It's being made out of that which we feel the obligation to do, right? It's still, they're both expressing what they feel, but they're actually arguing two different points. And so, as the show goes on, which I'm not going to spoil for you, but as the show goes on, you'll see the development of those characters. The reason why I bring it up is because in tonight's talk, we're going to talk about being nice versus being kind, because I wanted to really think about moral philosophy a bit and to really talk about what this was. I'm certainly not always kind. Most definitely. I'm probably not always kind. I'm definitely not nice. I know that. And this talk tonight is going to help you and me be in a better place this week. Okay? When I looked up the word nice, and I looked up, sorry guys, I got allergies going on. When I looked up the word nice, and I looked up the word, and I looked up the etymology of the word, I found that its basic root, at its most basic root, okay? It's actually two words. You don't need to know what those two words are right now. It's actually two affixes together, nigh and see. But that's neither here nor there. What you need to know is that the word nice actually comes from the word foolish. So you'd say, well, wait a second. Why is being nice foolish? How did that happen? How did that sway? It's like two complete opposites, right? Because it makes total sense. And we're going to talk about why in just a second. But I want you to hear that first before I go on and take you down deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole that I'm going to. Kind, on the other hand, has to deal with its most basic root, which is family. Okay? When you think about being foolish, when you think about those things that make you look foolish, it's probably because you aren't necessarily exercising the practice of etiquette, the practice of what's proper in most situations, the practice that you would need to know. Sometimes we have to swallow our pride, right? To say, all right, whatever, and do it. That's what happens that's what doesn't happen when we're foolish. When we're foolish, we don't. We act the fool. right? And so the word nice came out of that because that's exactly what one does. And we're going to talk about why in just a second. In being kind, that origin is family. It talks about how you behave when you are with those who are your closest, those who you feel most comfortable with. And more importantly is this idea of being kind out of nature, that when we interact with others, we are interacting with others in a way that doesn't take much effort because you are in a trusting environment, because you know the people around you are mostly people that are family, kin, kind. While we know that we wouldn't say you have a kind shirt, you have a nice shirt, I like your shirt. Your shirt is nice. Wow, that's a nice shirt. Well, you might say that because you literally believe it and you are agreeing with it, right? And that's really what being nice is all about. It's agreeing with somebody. It has nothing to do with how you really want to react. It's actually you just being agreeable. But you could actually say you have a nice shirt and tell somebody that just because you want them to feel good, even if you think the shirt's ugly. And that's not very nice. You see, because when we think about the idea of being nice, or actually accepting something that is nice, or agreeing with somebody being nice, then we are talking about something completely different than being kind. Kind is way different. When we hear the word foolish and we hear the word family, we hear complete opposite origins. You see, because when we are nice to each other, there's nothing there. You don't hear anything girthy like I talked about in the beginning of this sort of talk. There's nothing there. You're just being nice to each other. There's no edifice. There's no basic foundation of nice. It's all here. It's all decision making. How am I going to react in certain situations? Whereas when you're kind, now we see a huge difference, a huge jump into the not only earthly baseline plane, but the ethereal plane and the astral plane. You see, because while we are celestial beings inhabiting a human form, we are in this realm and understand that we can choose to be nice in any given situation. You can tell somebody you like their hairdo, but you know what? You might actually hate it. But you're just saying it because you want to be nice. What could you do, though? To be kind is to say, I like your hairdo so much, even if you hate it, and then give somebody a gift certificate to a hair salon and say, the next one's on me. Try this person out. Someone you know that you've already thought of that does an awesome job at hair, that would do a better job than they did on this hair do that, you know. Because sometimes we could even read people. What you might think is an absolute horrible hair job could be their absolute beauty, right? Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So when we start talking about moral ethics, moral philosophy, and we start talking about this, we begin to start questioning, are we nice and or are we kind? And so when we start thinking about nice and kind, we start thinking about this reality, this place that we get to that says, well, what is your intention? Because if you have no intention, there is nothing kind at all. And so we begin to argue from a place of Del Griffith, which is basically just being polite to Neil Page. And that's how I equate both of them. You see, while Neil was the antithesis of being kind, he was actually acting from intention. And it's that intention, the benevolent one, that gives you the outcome of kindness. And if you want to know what kindness is, well, that's where we have Random Acts of Kindness. There's books about this stuff. You could buy books and books and books on how to be kind. I don't know many books that talk about being nice, because all you have to do is look into a book of etiquette and you'll find how to be nice. You know, it's that being agreeable. It's that being passive. If you were to ask me what the Druids would be, I would think that the Druids would have been kind and not necessarily nice. Because I believe that the Druids had that edification, had that base, had that foundation. The edifice is what creates the kindness. There is no edifice with being nice or having niceness. It's just simple decision-making skills on how you feel you want that person to feel. And I think that that is really the dilemma. Because if you think and your intention is natural, I think that naturally your intention is going to come from a place of holiness. It's going to come from a place of charity. It's going to come from a place and say, hey, look, listen, you know, I could, you know, weld all day long, but you could still come home and be kind. You can, or you know, I just see that the difference is that one is completely superficial. I don't see any good in being nice, because even if you tell the person something, and even if you do something nice, okay, or not do something nice, even if your decision ends up being nice, what are you doing it for? If you're doing it to make the person feel good, then you're not being kind to them. And that's the hard thing to swallow there. Because if you really think of it, your idea of kindness is going to collapse in a heartbeat because it has no foundation. There's nothing there. You might even forget that you said it. The next time you see him, like, ew, that shirt again. You might really like the shirt. You might really like the hairdo. And you might say, oh, wow, nice hairdo, nice shirt. But there's still nothing there. There's no edifice there. There's no substance there. There's no essence there. It's completely adjectival. It's completely accidental, meaning the accidents of something and not the substance of something, meaning the description of something and not necessarily what's inside. What radiates? You know, when you meet somebody that's kind of fake, you'll get a lot of niceness, but you might not get a lot of kindness. And this is the dilemma that we have to face every day of our lives when we come into a situation. Nice is the idea of being polite. I see it as kind of like an obligation, if you will, right? Like you feel that you have to do it. It is actually what we call duty ethics. Whereas kind has to have a motivation, right? It has to have that intention we were talking about earlier. And definitely not Neil Page's intention that we talked about in the script, because that would be the antithesis of the intention we would want. It's the intention that we get, that we actually feel, that we are actually one with, not to hurt the other person. Because that's the opposite of being kind, is actually, to me, being nasty. The opposite of being nice is really still nice. It's just nice. And I really think that if we're kind, we can then be better people. Let me continue this, because I want to give you another example that I came into. The idea of that motivation, right? It's what naturally gives us gratification. It's what it's aid. It's our aid. It's like drinking Kool-Aid that we made for us. You know? And that gratification is natural. It comes from a natural place. And I think that is the difference, the main difference between both of them. Because one is just making a decision, and the other has a start point in which you can, I guess, amplify even more so when it's done. Because then that'll turn into something much greater. And that is paying that act of kindness forward, where then that creates that ripple effect that you want to create in the world, that you want to be the change in the world. And anybody can be nice, but being kind is actually an action, not a decision. It's an action that stems from something. True, being nice is an action, okay? But it's more of an expressive action than an action of doing. You see. Nice is a choice. It's a choice that you make. Whereas kind is a natural reaction. And if you think about the difference between choice and reaction, you think about the difference in peripheral morality and inherent morality, right? And when we talk about the difference between peripheral morality and inherent morality, then we start getting into the ethics of this. There are two terms I want you to know. Deontology and aretology. Something that's deontic would be being nice. And something that's aretaic is being kind. You see, deontology is out of that duty we talked about. It's out of that sense that we have to, you see. Whereas aretology is out of virtue. And the difference between duty ethics and virtue ethics is simple. One has a motivation, one doesn't. And it's something that we really should talk about, because if we think about this, if we really go into this, we start thinking about this idea of what would be better and what would be the best for the best possible outcome. And while we're not talking at all about consequentialism in this case, I think that it's important to know that definitely one is the one we want, and it's that aretaic mind, not that deontic mind, because the deontic mind is the one that says, well, let's just make this person happy and shut them up, even though you can feel the complete antithesis of what you're actually saying, because there is no good in that. But also in the same time, I feel that being nice could be good, like I said, if you agree with it. If you really agree with it and not just be agreeable. There's always that weird thing that comes up. Somebody's zipper's down. Or somebody has a booger hanging off their nose, or somebody has a bad body odor. And then you say, well, wait a second. Do you tell that person with a bad body odor they smell good? Because being kind is actually doing something nice for them. Being kind is where we would say, is that which we are agreeing with going to have another level? And I think, just me, and I'm definitely not even the one to teach this, so I don't even know how I got to do this, but I did. I think that it taught me a lesson, because sometimes I am nice because I feel I have to be. It's difficult for me to tell somebody with a bad body odor. It's difficult for me to tell somebody that they have a booger on their nose or their zipper's down. Sometimes I just can't get myself to do it. Right? I just can't. And when you say I can't, it means you won't. So I guess maybe I should say, yo, look, dude, you smell. I mean, you wouldn't say it that way, but like, hey, look, you bring them in the room and say, hey, can we talk for a little bit, Not to cause embarrassment. Maybe they know. Maybe they don't know how to take care of themselves. And that's where charity comes in. That's where kindness comes in. because now you are acting in a way that is kind, in a way that is druidic. And like I said, being kind may or may not be good. What if you do something that you feel is kind and the other person feels it's not? Let me tell you a story. You guys know I help out Jeremiah full time. I'm his caregiver, but I'm also his older brother. He's my little brother. We're brothers. Well, in this vocation called caregiving, are we caregiving, or are we taking possession? Disability is a very interesting thing. I know a person who lost his sight in war, and he now carries a walking stick. And I was with this person walking across the street, and here comes out of nowhere somebody, grabs the walking stick, pulls it out of the guy's hand, says, "Here, let me help you." And I thought about that, and I said, wow, this person's being kind. I'm like, that's awesome. We have supermen going all around the city of Philadelphia helping people cross the street. And then this person said to me, yeah, but did you think that I really needed it? Did you think that I really needed that help? And so we begin this real ethical dilemma in our heads. What should we do? What should we do? Another situation that I came across was this situation where a feminazi was walking out the door, the SJW type, with the side, the hair on one side and the green or purple or blue or orange or whatever unnatural color on the other. And they said, I'm not being nice right now, nor am I being kind. Well, there's nothing to be kind about, but I'm not being nice. But they came out and I held the door open and they said, "That's patriarchal. Kill men, kill white men." That kind of, philosophy, right? And I'm like, and here is where I become the real Neil Page. And I was like, fine, you don't want me to open up the door? Boom. I let it just shut in the person's face. Because I was expecting, hear it out, I was expecting that, hey, thanks. Because we had these expectations. We had these thoughts that, when you turn the radio on, it just goes on. When you turn the computer on, it just goes on. There are expectations that we all have. There are natural expectations. You don't want me holding the door open for you? It's patriarchal. Fine. Boom. You want equality? Then you pay for dinner, right? And so when we start thinking about this, now we have to begin to evaluate what and is what not kind and nice. If that person doesn't want the door open, then I think my response of letting it go, what else was I going to do? If I continue to hold the door open, I'm making that person miserable because she thinks I'm a patriarch. Yet, I'm in a position where if I let the door shut in her face, well, that's not very kind of me. So in some cases, you're in a lose-lose situation. There is no way to get out of it. Or is there? There is. And that's called engaging. You could have a conversation. Say, look, listen, hold on. I mean, they might not want to listen. Just, they might say, get out of my way, and then walk out. These are the people that are saying, be kind, love, love, love. These are the same people preaching that when they're yelling at and screaming at you. But the thing is that you could try to at least attempt, and this is being kind, to have that general intention and say, look, listen, I was just trying to be kind. Maybe, just maybe, you might spark something in that person. And finally, the last situation I want to talk to you about is, I don't know how real it is, but I've been seeing a lot of people that are homeless. And in socialist Philadelphia, there is plenty of homeless people. Almost every other storefront, there's another homeless person. It's not a joke. You are on my street, and you're going to see at least, you're going to see at least 8 homeless people on our street. In front of the Wendy's, in front of Dunkin' Donuts, in front of the Indian restaurant, in front of the Popeyes. It's all on my street, right? So you're going to see that. Well, I had a very interesting encounter with a person who was homeless that had a sign. And their sign read, I'm vegan. Only give me vegan food. Now, I don't know about you, but the possibility of me actually giving somebody something vegan, that would mean I would literally have to go out of my way, way out of my way, to make this person happy. Or give that person vegan food. I don't know how much I support that. When you are in a position where you can't well then you have to accept gifts. There's an old expression that beggars can't be choosers, and that is true. It doesn't mean that there's something else that can't be done. Possibly, just making it like this. Hey, this is your choice to be vegan. Why not just consider going closer to a place that sells vegan food? Now, you could have that conversation and you can choose that conversation. But all of this is choice. None of this is mandated. What isn't choice is when you have that inherent thing in you that makes you do it. And that is what causes kindness. And your job, guys, is to figure it out. Your job is to figure out when to be kind. Your job is to figure out when to be nice. Your job is to figure out when to be polite to somebody when you don't agree with it and you just need to be agreeable. And when you definitely feel you agree with something and just want to outwardly agree with it. Your job is also to consider not acting out the words that would stem from your intention of being nasty or not. And I think a lot of this is based on the events that have happened in our life. The more times in life that we are as human beings, that the more times in life as we as human beings are not being treated fairly, the more times we feel like we don't need to treat each other fairly. And while fair is a relative concept, I think you guys get the gist. You can or cannot. You will or will not be kind or be nice. Be kind and be nice. But the moral high ground to me would seem like it would kind of lean on being agreeable when you agree, being kind when you feel that good intention, not acting on being agreeable when you disagree, and being nasty or unkind when you feel those real negative, hurtful intentions inside you. For your mantra tonight, before we go into the Druidic mantra, the Fioral or Fioral, I want you to think about this, that we talked about a lot tonight. And I got my little note cards here, so I'll go over what we did. We talked about the etymology of being nice and being kind, and that, yeah, you would, compliment somebody on a nice shirt but you wouldn't actually call it a kind shirt unless you had that same shirt and like, hey, I got that shirt too. We talked about the idea of duty versus virtue, right? And we went into the idea of peripheral morality versus inherent morality, right? That which is that morality that we feel we are obligated to do, and that morality that is just inherent within us. We talked about things that were deontic and things that were aretaic. And deontic would be something like kind, and aretaic would be something like, deontic would be something like nice, and aretaic would be something like kind. And the idea of deontology and aretology, right? And we talked about the difference between duty ethics and virtue ethics. And finally, we talked about those conundrums where we would be in situations where being nice may or may not be good and being kind may or may not be good. But also how to compensate and how to learn how to make that niceness and that kindness actually good. And we started out with a talk. Now, what I'm going to do before I give you that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read that script to you one more time. And I'm going to read it to you, and now I want you to hear it after everything I've taught you tonight. And then we'll go to the mantra, and then we'll do magic. Okay? All right, here we go. So, here it goes. Neil Page says to Del Griffith, I hope you wake up so stiff you can't even move. You got a free cab, you got a free room, and someone who will listen to your boring stories. Didn't you notice on the plane when you started talking, I started reading the vomit bag? Didn't that give you some clue that this guy's not even enjoying it? Everything's not an anecdote. You have to discriminate. You choose things that are funny or mildly amusing or interesting. You're a miracle. Your stories have none of that. They're not even amusing accidentally. Honey, meet Del Griffith. He's got some amusing anecdotes. Here's a gun so you can blow your brains out. You'll thank me for it. I could tolerate any insurance seminar for days. I could listen to them go on and on and on and on. They'd say, how can you stand it? And I'd say, because I've been with Del Griffith, I can take anything. You know what they say? I know what you mean. The shower curtain ring guy. It's like going on a date with a chatty Cathy doll. There should be a string on your chest that you could pull out, except I wouldn't pull it out. You would. Ah, 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 ah. By the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it more interesting for the listener. Now we switch. Del Griffith returns fire with this. You want to hurt me? Go ahead. If it makes you feel better. And he starts tearing up now. Because Neil really put it to him. I'm an easy target. Yeah, you're right. I talk too much. But you know what? I also listen too much. I could be a cold, hard cynic like you, but I don't like to hurt people's feelings. Well, you think what you want about me, but I'm not changing. I like me, and I'm getting all caught up and choked up. My wife likes me. My customers like me. Because I'm the real article. What you see is what you get. The real is this. As I act on my deepest intentions, write this down. As I act on my deepest intentions, I become more kind to myself and others. As I act on my deepest intentions, I become more kind to myself and others. And a lot of people say, well, what's the difference between a Druidic mantra and a mantra in general? Is that in a mantra in general, you could say, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, but not do anything about it. Whereas in a Druidic mantra, there's actually an action part to it, to the conclusion, to the outcome you wish to see. As I act on my deepest intentions, I become more kind to myself and others. And for your dreog, your magic, you're going to ask yourself a question every night before you go to bed this week, before you rest, and that is this question. How do I really want to be treated? That's your magic. No spells tonight. No swing. No swing. No slot dreog. No batashul. You guys don't know what they are. It's just Gaelic for the rod and the staff. You're just going to ask, how would you like to be treated? This was one of the most difficult talks I've ever had to do, because I don't feel that I am one to talk to you guys about this when I suck at it myself. I am inside. I mean, I truly have been hurt a lot, right? And that has created a lot of, I guess, especially with the Druid Circle, right? It created a lot of reasons why I sometimes might react the way I do. And a lot of people might be completely innocent. But I just don't know sometimes. But I think that even if I treat the trolls kind, then they'll have nothing, or even be polite with them. Then they will have nothing to use against you. And that's going to be added to me not drinking coffee during Lent. As you know, Druid Lent, or if you will, pagan Lent, is the entire time that the days I see as the entire time of a Molg, whereas many Christians might do it the 40 days before Easter. But that idea of giving up something, that fasting, right? And so I would say that I think I'm going to add one other thing to my regimen, and that is I am, regardless, going to start being more kind. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be nice. It just means that I'm going to try to be kind more. And I think that when I teach you guys, I don't teach you. It's more of a narcissistic thing, because I actually am teaching me. All of this is all about documenting my work and contribution to learning more about the Druids. None of this was supposed to be what it is. It was all supposed to be just a simple study group with 40 people. I never expected, in just a little over 2 years, 60,000 people almost. I just didn't. And then yet people get on, and even though the reach is low, I mean, if we have the right people working on this, and we can figure out a way to shut down that reach hold, we'd hit 100 people, maybe 200, maybe 300 on a live. But maybe there's a reason. Maybe I'm just not ready for that yet. I'm happy with 10 people on. I'm happy with one person on. Hell, I'm happy with no person on, because I see myself, and I'm actually teaching me. In hopes, and here comes the intention, in hopes that I teach you. Wherever you're at, this goes beyond time and space. Wherever you're at, 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 wherever you're at. May the gods bless you. May the goddesses keep you. May the mysticals and fae shine their light upon you, and may your ancestors remain with you forever and ever, world without end. Girawan. I hope you really liked tonight's talk. I hope you really got into it. I hope you're going to play it back, and I know I'm going to play it back on a watch party. When I play it back on a watch party, I end up learning something that I actually taught you. So I hope you really like it. I think that it was a job for me that I really wanted to get to, and you guys know I'm gonna go over the comments. Okay, so let's listen to what we got. I don't know what we have, but let's see what we got. All right. Okay, so we have Carol Lee was on tonight. Awesome. Great job, Carol Lee. Thanks for joining. Shirley, good evening. Nicholas, evening. Laura, Polizzi, I think the G is silent. Now let's lower it a little bit there. Good evening. Good eves in all that. Good eves and all that. Thanks, Lara. Thank you. Tuning in from PA. Woohoo! Alright. Patsy, good evening. Great seeing you, Patsy, on there tonight. Melissa, good evening. Jenny, good evening. You guys are so nice. How are you, sir? Chris, Martin. Doing much better now that I had this talk tonight. I actually learned something from me. I don't even know where it comes from. Tammy. I think that's Tammy. It could be Tamay, but I think it's Tammy. I'm almost sure, I think. Good evening. Andrew Kish, thank you. You're welcome, man. No problem, dude. Vicky Bolin, you're on. Great seeing you. I need to hear this today. Thank you. Nicholas. Okay, so hold on just a second. This is a long one. Hold on, guys. It can certainly be difficult with confrontational nature of people nowadays. It can be discouraging to even try to be kind or nice. Makes you want to just walk past, look the other way. No matter how abrasive people try to be, I will never stop trying to be the kind person I want to be. Even if a person tries to make me feel bad or offering help, I would feel worse about myself for not offering at all. Wow. That's a power, Nicholas, that's really powerful, brother. That's really, dude, that's something that's way above my pay scale. You guys are awesome. That's just beautiful, Nicholas. Let's see what else we got. And Debbie, love this from Arkansas. All right, welcome, Arkansas. Welcome, Debbie. So, you guys, I hope yous all, like, tomorrow morning when you're getting your Philly breakfast, your pretzel and mustard and a cup of coffee. Well, I can't have coffee. No, I'm doing it for the gods. God, my understanding. I think the thing is that we learned tonight from everybody. And also when you're on here, if I don't answer your quotes right away and you guys want to have a discussion while I'm talking, please do. Please do. I mean, just because I'm talking doesn't mean you don't have to interrupt. I mean, you guys could talk all you want. That's awesome. Michigan. Welcome, Michigan. Who is that? Teresa. Blessed be. Teresa, we Druids use the term, and I'm going to end with it. We don't say blessed be. Druids use something different. It is be it thus. And we say it twice. And I'm going to let you hear what it sounds like in just a second. So, be it thus. Be it thus. I want to say that this was such a wonderful thing. I really had a good time because I learned so much about me, and I hope you guys all learned, about you, about who you are, and I hope it helped. I don't know if it did anything. I only asked him. I asked him I ask them to like tell me what to say sometimes, and they do. So I hope what they said through me maybe helped you. So here we go. Let's end tonight with the Be It Thus, okay? And my Gaelic intention for you as a Druid. Say for ta say Betshegobra Arnit Est Lemogui Giraun Tasifor. Thank you all. Thank you. And don't forget, I don't take payment. But I'll tell you, if you guys ever want to give me some payment, you know what you could do? You can get on that YouTube channel and get like 100 people. Like if you could get, I need 1,000. So I could start going live on that thing and doing real good stuff with you, like in the woods, like, you know, teaching you how to light a fire and stuff like that. And like just basic survival stuff. But you guys know I'm more of a philosopher, even though I can do all that. I'm just more of a philosopher and theologian, if you will. So, all right, awesome. I hope you have a great night, guys. Take it easy and make it a successful week.